Welcome back to another glorious time together on Life Imagined. I'm so excited to be on here with my guest Jen, and I've known Jen for a long time, and I think we've done at least one video together, haven't we? At least
At least one, yeah.
at least one, but
I've
more to
been kind of
come.
stubborn.
Oh no, you're not stubborn at all. But definitely more to come. And so if you are viewing this, you are probably viewing it from multiple platforms today. In fact, I just shared in our group on Facebook, Life Imagines. We're on my personal page. I know afterwards, Jen, you'll share it to your page. We're also on, um, geez, what other platforms? We're on YouTube, and I'm forgetting one.
TikTok?
Uh, no, I wish we were going to do TikTok today, but we didn't get a chance. I can't hook it up. It won't let me
Instagram?
stream. Instagram, there we go. So we're on YouTube, two Facebook platforms, and Instagram today. So please like and share. This is going to be good today. Again, there's so much information out there on chakras, and how it all ties together. If For those of you that want to go real deep into how the universal laws, densities, dimensions, chakras, stargates, all of that move together, there's information on this underneath this video to go to our Patreon and join and subscribe. And every Friday mornings at 9 a.m., or excuse me, 10 a.m., we switched it Mountain Time. We will be holding these Zoom gatherings where we discuss and talk about the densities and the chakras and the stargates and how all of it, there's layers to this stuff. And this video isn't going, we might give a general overview, but we're going to get into more of the detail of personal application and life journey through the root and the sacral, and possibly being able to get into the solar plex. Really, those lower three chakras tend to communicate together. And so I'm really excited about this. And hopefully, Jen, you'll get to share some of your experience as you feel led as well. So before I have Jen kind of jump in on this, I just want to kind of give a little overview here of why we call this the power of creation. And the reason why is because the power of creation begins, and depending on who's teaching out there, some will say it starts in the root chakra, some say it starts in the sacral. I believe it's in the root and the sacral. I believe there's a connection there. And so I kind of want to just give an overview here of the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and touch a little bit on the solar plex before we get into this. So for those of you that don't understand, chakras are energy centers in your body. They have been proven even scientifically that there are energy centers at different levels, just like we've proven that we have more than one brain. In fact, we have three, I believe, three brains in our body. We have our head brain, we have our heart brain, and we have our digestive brain. And our digestive brain is actually connected to the solar plex as well. Okay, beneath that you have I believe the subconscious of that lower digestive brain, which is dealing with root chakra and sacral chakras. All right, you'll know when you've activated them in many different ways. We're not even talking about a healthy activation. You can tell when you've activated your root chakra when you got a traffic ticket and now you're in court and you're rushing to the bathroom because worst case scenario is hitting your mind, or that whole flight or fight mode where you're just sick to your stomach because you're not sure what's going to happen next in your life. Those are reactions from your root and sacral chakras, depending on how far you take this. How long you meditate in the wrong direction will depend on how creative you are in that flight or fight mode, if I could say it that way. But we've all experienced these chakras one way or the other. But your root chakra is about your stability. It is really directed into, if I was to take it a little bit further than the root chakra of your body, it is connected to the earth star chakra, or connection to the earth. And so a lot of times we're not really feeling connected. I know when I was in religion, I didn't think twice about the earth. You know, oh, we're going to be raptured. The earth's going to be destroyed. It's evil. It's sinful. So I was really disconnected from the earth. So when I deconstructed religion and began to really face these energy centers of my life, that I had stored a lot of repressed trauma, specifically in my root chakra. I thought I was going to fly away. I thought I was going down the rabbit hole, losing reality, because I wasn't really rooted into my earth chakra. But stability is really the root chakra. When we're dealing with this root chakra, it's really about grounding, security, stability. It's about survival, physical survival, these types of things. And so a lot of people, they overlook that and they go, oh, well, I just want to get past that. I want to get into this glorious, I want to talk to the angels. I want to be up in some realm channeling these light beings. And so I need my crown chakra. But really, all of your chakras, specifically your crown and all of that, are only as strong or in alignment as your root and your sacral chakra. Those two are the base foundation of everything that we are going to build upon in our life, of our identity, of what we would call spirituality, and which I tend to call technology, in that aspect. And so we have stability in the root chakra, or that which is grounding us, security, stability. And then we have in the sacral, emotions, pleasure, sexuality, or as we would call it, creativity and sexuality. And then, of course, the solar plex is about personal power and identity, which it has to do with like control, feeling like you're in control, self-confidence, self-worth, these aspects. So they all kind of stack layers, and they're interacting together. These three are constantly interacting. We're constantly going inward whenever we feel unstable, questioning our self-worth. Okay. We do that when we haven't faced ourselves in certain areas, right? And then we feel like we've lost our inspiration to be creative. Okay, where our creativity is really connected to our sexuality, and our sexuality has nothing to do with gender, like we think. It has nothing to do with, oh, I've got a gender identity issue or something like that. No, it really has to do with how you have perceived you at your heart essence. And so, as we're breaking through this in our day and our time, especially today with the collective, Jen, what do you see happening? I want to just put you on the spot here, but what do you see happening just in the world around you um, when it comes to what needs to shift, and what are we all going to have to go through or have been going through to get this survival mode to kind of come into alignment to where we can actually begin to embrace our own energies, our own emotions, our own sexuality, all of these types of things. And because I think in a sense right now the root chakra is kind of almost like reaching for and embracing the sacral chakra within the collective in our journey of
Yes.
kind. I mean, how would you see that in your life?
Well, when I look over my life, I see how even religion has taught us to find security in um, ethereal things, or like
Hmm.
in things that are not physical. The physical world has always been thought of as less than. You don't want to. I don't know how to phrase that, but I think our physicality has been denied in many ways, in the search of something considered to be greater or more worthy. Um, I
Oh,
think
that's
that's the
good.
whole like uh, God complex, the God being outside of us. It kind of keeps us from being able to honor that we are in a physical world,
Mm,
and being
that's
able to
good.
embrace it, and having this fear of a fear of it, that it's somehow a threat to our existence.
Oh, that's good. So really that whole, again, that whole lie of separation has almost like caused us to not be able to communicate with aspects of ourself
Right.
by separating really who we are from who we are as creator, almost like creating this separate entity because of us not being good enough or us not being able to really know who we are at that depths. We've
Yeah,
kind of
not creating
separated
an
ourselves.
identity, like we don't know who we are in these
Yes.
lower realms.
Wow. So we've been brainwashed into believing who we are in these lower realms. Would you say that Christianity played a big part? I know and again, we're not picking on any specific religion. We can only share what we've come out of,
Yeah,
everyone. So,
yeah,
even though I would pick on Christianity more than any other because it is the most toxic
yeah.
in America. Um, in Christianity, what would you say your definition of putting the cork in the bottle was for you when it comes to kind of them, wanting to kind of keep those root chakra and sacral chakra, those aspects of us dormant or out of the way or twisted version or a wrong definition of how we were living our
Well,
life and resisting ourselves. What does that look like for you?
um, well, I know how Christianity has affected my view of my sacral, like, and how I
Mhm.
viewed myself as a sexual being, um, and but also like not being able the idea of not being able to know who I am in this body, not feeling safe in my body. Um, it kind of creates this ripple effect of fear of to be able to express because there's so many things about my physical self that is not right, that's not
Yeah.
clean. It has to be it has to be a certain, way in order to be considered clean.
Yes. Yes. No, it
So it
makes
really has
makes
affect
sense.
Christianity is definitely affected. Um, I know I speaking for females has really um, affected how they view their own bodies, how they view their own expression,
Oh yeah.
and
I
feeling
mean, your
free
body
to.
belongs to your husband, not to you, in Christianity. So you're not even actually allowed to have your own body in Christianity because you're either the Lord's as a temple or you're your husband's, and you don't
Yeah,
have a right to your body. So your whole body is pretty much, you don't have a right to it. And then of course it's sinful flesh that's going to be done away with. So we have to beat our bodies into subjection, bring it subject to the Lord.
right.
These types of mentalities, which is a lot of shame, right? Shame
Yeah,
based,
yeah, you create
self hatred.
a
Yeah.
lot of self-protection to avoid the feeling of shame and guilt. That's
Yeah.
tied to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And I know in my own journey, not only were you to deny physical things or physical pleasures that were sinful, but you also weren't allowed to feel your emotion, because feeling your emotion, especially if it was emotion that was deemed negative by religion, meant that you were in the flesh. You were
Yeah,
thinking less than how God wants you to think, and so you weren't allowed to validate what you feel. I know,
yeah,
especially when it comes to somebody crossing boundaries and disrespecting you, you're supposed to just lay your life down, forgive them, don't hold anything, quickly let it go so you don't give foothold to a devil or a
yeah,
curse on your life.
yeah,
And jump through these hoops. And so that kind of brainwashing really has a real powerful effect in how you experience your root and your sacral chakra, and really just stunts who we are. And so thankfully we've come out of that uh, bondage, that brainwashing.
right.
And I think, Christianity was kind of founded on kind of that polarity, opposite polarity of how our root and sacral chakras are supposed to actually operate. But you brought up something powerful, and you know, what Yeshua would have said was the kingdom is within you. And, you know, and he was trying to get everybody to go within and realize that everything they needed was already within them. But religion wanted us to go without so that
Yeah.
a few could make a buck or whatever and be in control. And anyway, that whole separation mentality caused us to not see ourselves and not want to see ourselves and be afraid of seeing
Right.
ourselves,
Yeah.
you know. So it is pretty amazing there. Um, you know, when we think about the root chakra and survival, you know, one thing that always comes up for me in my life is how we mask that survival, how we mask it. And again, back to what we learn to do with that outside of truly facing ourselves. So we learn these gimmicks, right? of how to kind of manipulate ourselves when it comes to um, root chakra. A good example of this would be um, where we will defend kind of what we've performed as our identity. So like I know when I was in the ministry, it was all about, well, I'm an apostle or I'm a prophet or my gifting, my anointing would be in the forefront, you know. And of course my character I would want to hide because of the self-condemnation, because you can never measure up, right?
Yeah.
And so hiding that, but then trying to pretend that you're secure, you know, because you have a gift, and you're superior because you know more than so and so. And I this was a big thing for me. I mean, most would look at it and just call it arrogance and pride, but really it was fear and inadequacy that would cause, I know for me, to project myself as something more, to kind of hide from myself where I believed I was less. I would kind of overdo it to hide. And this seemed to be something that was our way of survival, you know, and
Yeah.
also to turn away from people. I mean, people don't understand this, and I hope we have some Christians watching this, you know, because when you're out there and you're moving in your power and your gift and you're flowing and people are getting healed and touched, that's actually coming from your root and sacral chakras. That that the sexual energy that has just been reduced to um, a biological response, it's so much more than that, is actually the power that you release when people get touched by your essence. It's what draws people to you, and it's what you are carrying to release when you want to do healing work, or you know, or channeling, or anything like that, or in the church prophesying and releasing the anointing or healing the sick, whatever verbiage you want to use. It is all the same energy. It isn't some separate entity that came and saved us that's now using us as a puppet to fulfill its will. We are our own puppet in that sense. We are the creator and the created, and we're the ones that are actually releasing that energy, but we don't know it when we're living in that whole separation mentality, right?
Right. Mhm.
So what has been your journey lately? You've had some shifts that have happened in your life when it comes to again, and before we get into that, let me just identify here in the sacral area, because uh, you know, when you hear people saying like your sexual energy needs to be released, and, you know, to create worlds, or the power of creativity is sexual energy. I want to kind of get rid of the woo woo there, you know, for the audience, so they kind of understand that we're not talking about, you know, let's make love, not war, returning to that 60s mentality of flower power, even though there's nothing wrong with making love rather than war. It really is about coming out of the sexualized definition of our sexual energy, in how we have seen it, and how it's only been used sexually because of how we've been living out of insecurities. I mean, when you get around people like that grew up that especially were sexually abused, okay, they're going to go one of two ways. They're going to either become a nymphomaniac and want to have sex, and only that is the only way that they understand love, or they're going to be repelled sexually and not want to be touched at all because of probably some sort of violent sexual abuse upon them. So you can go, people go two different directions with sexual abuse, right? But when we're really talking about our sexuality, it's really about we've received every aspect of ourself, and there is nothing that we're no longer judging or labeling aspects of ourself, when it comes to the way we look, the way other people see us. You know, we've come to a point of embracing ourselves in those areas, and it goes beyond this insecure sexual deviant perspective to release that energy, which is what a lot of people think when you say, you know, we've got to release sexual energy. What it really is it's bringing it beyond the primal states of animalistic cravings and into a place of actually enjoying our own presence, loving our own emotions, no longer judging what we're feeling or entangling that in who we are. And that in turn brings us really into that place of empowerment in that solar plex, where we can now begin to really express who we are rather than a piece of what we carry trying to pick up the pieces, if that makes sense, like we did in religion. Where are you, and what's been going on with you, with your chakras lately, in your root, in your sacral, in your journey? And if you could paint a picture for us of maybe what has led up, what kind of where you were at in the leading up to it, what has been going on in the breaking open of it, and the fruit that
Okay.
you've been seeing, if you could.
Yeah. So I a few 2-3 weeks ago, I had an experience where I feel like that my root and sacral chakra really um, were activated, and it was dealing with those fears of how I feel like it was all about a love encounter, a love embrace of myself, where I have denied myself. And I don't think I was fully aware to the extent. And it became um like a proposition, like came forth like a face-to-face proposition of like, do you wanna engage?
Yeah.
Do you wanna kind of reminded me of as kids when the neighborhood kids are putting together a softball game, and they come knock on your door and ask you if you want to come out and play, and it's that participation. And and so I, in that moment where this invitation was made, like, do you wanna,
Yeah.
I was like, all inhibitions, I just kind of like had, what the f, like, let all inhibitions go, and I just surrendered to that idea. And in that, I've noticed that I've it's like the moment you say yes to that encounter, you are then faced with the the inhibitions that you've had put in place. You know, all the dialogue that maybe you weren't even aware of. Like for me, a lot of it was it had to do with self-love, and the the fear of being vulnerable, and like, am I just a fool, to think, am I
Sure.
am I fool to put myself out there? And so I've recognized how I've had my own self-protective measures put in place to not, where I didn't trust authenticity with others or authenticity with myself.
Oh, that's good.
And And so it's been kind of like an unfolding. It's like you think, okay, my root has been opened. Now I'm going to be just, experience all this um, wonderfulness. But it actually, I've had to
Yeah.
kind of confront, I couldn't bypass, anything.
Yes.
So um, that's been my process of learning how to participate in life, and how fear, being denying myself, my body, my existence in this physical world, and my how I contribute in this world. It's like when that starts kind of waking up, you want to be involved. You want to be involved in life. Um,
Yes.
there's this mystery of life that was hidden, that's now like, ooh, I want to explore this. I want to engage in this. It like opens up pathways for your passion for things to start getting inspired and growing in. And so that's kind of where I've been at, is noticing how, just confronting the dialogue, and then
Yes.
and how that has affected me being able to just like, I want to live. I want to live and experience life. And I think a lot of those fears and self denials have, subconsciously kept me from even entertaining the idea of having excitement and pleasure and all that.
Wow. No, that's beautiful. I think you hit on something there that a lot of people don't understand. See, an awakening, what we would call a Kundalini awakening, which is a lot different than a spiritual experience. While a spiritual experience might be good and you might have an epiphany, that Kundalini has to do with not just what you're believing you are at a spiritual level. It affects the physical, it affects the emotional, it affects the biological. All sides
Yeah.
are being shifted and woken up. And I know that, when you started to wake up, as you were sharing, what came to my mind was how a lot of people, they just, yes, I just want to wake my chakras up, but they don't realize that in there they now have to face all of the things that they didn't face when they turned away from those parts of themselves. And so
Right.
now all that dialogue is going to surface. That's the first thing. You're going to get this, wow, look what I'm being invited into, look at what
Hmm.
I can experience here. And I'm having this vision of, I am all that in a bag of chips, and I can create my own world, and I am beautiful and lovely, and I am love itself. I am attraction itself. We start to let go of these labels of what you could be into you are the embodiment of it. But that begins to now create this contrast that says, okay, this is who you are, but now you have to face this. You have to let go here of these conclusions, these things that you've tied around yourself, right?
Yeah.
and uh, and all of the programming and the brainwashing, all of that question marks. Am I going to get in trouble? Are people going to still love me? Are they going to reject me? And all of those aspects is that flight or fight, is that survival mode. And so really coming from that, um, you know, animalistic. When I say animalistic, we tend to think animalistic and we connect it with sexuality. You don't need to let go of that aspect. What you want to let go of is the animalistic view of yourself. Because a lot of times when we're dealing with chakras, we're also dealing with religious jargon surrounding them that you have to somehow ascend to some etherical place, when really these three chakras we're dealing with today are really about coming back to your humanity. It's really about returning to yourself,
Yeah.
and being okay that there's nothing wrong with you when you have desire, when you want to step out and be different than the system designed around you. uh, And so, you want to be authentic. I think a lot of our authenticity flows in the root and the sacral chakras. And when they are being embraced at that level, out of the solar plex comes self-worth and almost like the response. So the solar plex is like the response of however I view and however I have that internal dialogue with the first lower chakras, root and sacral, will then manifest as my personality in my solar plex, because solar plex is I am empowerment. It really is about being empowered. But your sacral is I am creativity. And our
Mhm.
system has decided for us what is and isn't appropriate when it comes to our creativity. And then what is appropriate, they're going to make sure they tax and take advantage of, or in one way or another, or throw across the media some sort of enticement in one direction or another, or a gaslighting in one way or another. And so our creativity has really been stunted as a community, as a species. And we're now starting to wake up and say, wow, I don't have to fit in this mold. I'm still worth something if I don't fit in the mold, the trend of the day. And so diversity, our individuality is being emphasized, and it really is what the heart of the matter is. I mean, ultimately, it's great that we can meditate, and we do need to meditate, and we do need to release, and we do need to ground and do all of these things, all of these spiritual tools, all of these things. But if we can't see that our greatest spiritual attribute is to embrace ourselves as human beings,
Yeah.
then we've missed the boat. We've missed the whole thing, and we're back into another superstitious religion, which is a sign of escaping ourselves or hiding from ourselves. So again,
Right.
debunking the whole woo-woo when it comes to Kundalini awakenings and chakra alignments.
Yeah.
This is not you need a guru to do it. You just need to love yourself and begin to see the signs, like Jen was saying here, of recognizing not only I'm being invited into who I truly am with no holds barred. Um, but in that, I've got to now find a whole new set of boundaries that don't bind me, and ways in which I can be myself, in the right kind of bridle, because we do see people that just you know they just want to hit the fuck it button, and say, well, I am who I am, and if it's offensive to you, who cares? And I think sometimes we have to do that if we've really been repressed,
Hmm.
and we should have compassion,
For sure.
realizing, oh, that person's their chakras opening up, they're clearing their energy, they're waking up, they're standing up for themselves for the first time, and we should applaud them, and we should give them space to do that. But we also don't want it to become mayhem out there of everybody's
Yeah.
just doing whatever, and then we got to clean up the mess afterwards. I think there is a definite honor and a respect of one another as we engage in the wild side of who we are, and the part of us that really is ready to break forth.
Yeah.
And it's going to be extreme in the beginning. It's not necessarily going to be cut and dry, or
Yeah.
it's going to be messy, because we're finding out who we are for the first time.
It makes me think of coming out of Christianity. It's like you just realize, oh my gosh, there's a whole new world out here, and you just start like digging into all. I mean, everything that you thought was taboo, you're just like, you know, devouring everything. Like, how bad can I be? How
Yes.
far can how many boundaries can I cross? Because you have this newfound freedom of, and then you
Yeah.
just kind of try to round that up and figure out how that fits into your life. And
No, see, that right there is a really good point. I know for me, um, I needed to go out there and see that if I sinned, according to Christianity, and I didn't have to go out and do anything immoral or anything like that. I just had to stop praying to a
Yeah.
God outside of myself, and maybe go have a drink. Or I remember going and doing psychedelics, to heal myself, and waiting for the thunder and the judgments of God, for uh, looking for truth in any other way than the Bible, or seeking the Lord, and just certain things that we've all had to step into and do. And what we don't understand is all those years where we just kept sinning when we were trying not to, and we would fall short of the glory of God, and we
Yeah.
fast and pray. That was our higher self trying to show us then that, hey, I'm putting you in some positions here to actually let go of the need to measure up. And that every time you do focus on being a sinner, you sin more because because where your energy, where your focus goes, your energy flows. And so if you're focused on being less than, you're going to experience being less than. If you focus on I'm not good enough, or I have to protect myself, then you're going to continue to need to do that over
Hmm.
and over and over again. So sometime we got to just step off the bandwagon and say, well, it's moving too fast. I'd rather jump off and skin my knee and get a few bruises than keep spinning in circles. And so I
Yeah.
know for me it was tough coming out of that. But I will say that, I had to go extreme in my mind. I think we have to know
Hmm.
that we've been scammed.
Yeah.
And then we come full circle and realize, oh, we planned this whole thing out. And then we get compassion. But we have to be scammed by this system that took us captive so that we can break free from that mindset and gather
Yeah.
enough, confidence to begin this journey of really knowing ourselves from this other side, this other angle. And so don't try to don't try to balance it too much, because I think the more we try to balance it, the more we're going to end up repressing parts of ourselves. And oh, what will people think? That's the first big thing, right?
Hmm.
What are they gonna think about me if I am not walking the way they think I should look?
Yeah.
Boy, what the brainwashing that we put ourselves in, that we're not even living our lives based on how we want to live them. We're living our life based on
Yeah.
how we structured, if we're acceptable to everybody else,
Yeah. And then
you know.
we conformed that what we do and according to what we think will be acceptable, but then we're not being truly authentic. I mean, that's whole
Yes.
inhibitions thing. It's like sometimes can be hard.
Oh, definitely, definitely difficult. Just want to give just a real quick thing here. I wasn't going to share on this, but when you take the 12 universal laws, which are actually were brought up by Newton, and so these are actually science-based laws. But if you take them in reverse, it actually connects well with the chakras. Now not the 7 chakra system that we're used to, but the 12 chakra system. And without going into details of all the chakras, I just wanted to kind of touch on this, on how the life situations around us are trying to align us with these chakras in our life, with these aspects of how we have labeled ourselves at a base level. Okay, whether it be just in our because see, one of the things that I've realized is our sacral chakra. Yes, you're dealing with like emotions, pleasure, sexuality. It is the proclamation, I am creativity. Your root is all about survival. So there is a lot of energy that has been misinterpreted, that's trapped in our tree of life, in our DNA, or in our nervous system, that's not necessarily emotions that we think are that we're thinking about, or that we've personified, but that's actually affecting us because we are all connected. And so there's this unified connection in the field that is, causing us to have all kinds of experiences that we are labeling about ourselves that has nothing to do with about ourselves. but is just simply because of the way we're built to receive energy in the field at a root chakra level. And so in these 12 laws, if you were to look at the last one, again, I don't know if these are in a specific order, but the order you always find them written is number 1 is the law of divine oneness, and number 12 is the law of gender. And so, but if you start at the law of gender, it actually is connected to the earth star chakra. And so the earth star chakra is what connects you to the earth. So this is your first manifestation. As you're born into this world, you are programmed how to view, how to perceive everything in a masculine, feminine energy, but has been kind of reduced to a male or female gender aspect in which you're now programmed to experience life through that lens. Okay. And so our whole root system that even begins in our environment that's supposed to reflect our safety has kind of been twisted into this stereotypical version of gender rather than the heart of what we are as energy.
Yeah.
As simply the masculine, feminine, give and receive flow of different sides of kind of who we are at a energetic level, at a vibrational level, that kind of got reduced down to a facade mask drama lived out. And so that's where the law of gender is. And I had to bring that one in first because we're looking at the 12 laws from the 12 chakra system. But this would take you to the law of rhythm in your root chakra. And the law of rhythm is what that means is it's life operating in cycles and rhythms, natural highs and lows, recognizing patterns, and helping to navigate life changes. That seems to flow well when it comes to that universal law with how it is working with the root chakra in what we would call our outer world, but it's really an inner world. There is no outer world. We know this, but we're experiencing what we think is an outer world, which is actually the subconscious life or the inner world manifesting in how we've been programmed to perceive. And more of an allegory, more of an internal dialogue represented as people, places, and things. And so the law of rhythm with cycles in our life is not a negative thing, but it's been experienced as a negative thing when it comes to our root chakra, when it comes to our upbringing as children, where we did not receive the mere reflection of how to regulate when we were in distress, especially that whole self-regulation thing of that one of the reasons we clung to religion in the first place, the sky daddy, because we did not have it. And again, nothing against our parents. Our parents didn't have it. Our parents didn't have it. We were never taught how to regulate what we felt. We were just, oh, you're okay, whisked away, so that we would grow up in this whole denial of what we feel, or as in our feelings don't matter. So we just kept pushing them away, which would create instability because we're actually not answering aspects of ourselves, but denying them. And those aspects then turn into little monsters in us, little demons, right? If you've heard of the book, I've shared about this before. There's a book out there by Soltram Alion called Feeding Your Demons. And it's a really good book because it talks about how we are constantly taught to repress, to avoid aspects of ourselves that are not acceptable to society and are deemed less than, and that those parts of us kind of take on our superstitious side. They take on the image of what we're most afraid of and begin to resist or attack us, or appear to resist and attack us. And so if you're a Christian, you would see that as a demon. Okay. And that basically, if you will start to feed your demon rather than deprive your demon. It will no longer be a demon. It'll kind of reconcile.
Yes,
Those
good.
broken parts of us will reconcile back. And how do we feed our demon is we've got to recognize what it needs, and also put yourself in the place of that demon. And what would it feel like to be that aspect of me looking back at me, and what do I really need, and as that deprived part of me. And I think that the law of rhythm is a great illustration here to see that if you are aware of what is going on in that season when it comes to universal laws, it'll help you to kind of anchor in rather than resist yourself in the process of this unveiling when it comes time for your root chakra to wake up and for you to begin the journey of embracing yourself at these levels of where we've kind of been hidden or broken. What do you think about the time in your life where and this is stuff we've talked about before, where maybe you had a fear of like doing what you're doing right now, or there was a time where you wouldn't really do posts a lot on Facebook, and you've been actually kind of stepping out and doing these amazing posts. That if you haven't read Jen's post, you got to go check out her post. Send her a friend request. She just got these amazing posts where she's able to ask all the right questions that we can't think of, that start to get us going in the direction that we're really even going today. And so, you were sowing that before you started to experience this shift in your identity at a root chakra level. It was kind of like, I'm going to step out. I'm going to start sharing things. I'm going to put myself out there. And was it difficult for you to do that, to put yourself out there? And how is it now? If I could just ask that.
Yeah, it's been very difficult. When I first really started to express my thoughts, I was still within Christianity, and and I knew that I had a desire to share, but um and at first it was, like I got positive feedback, but then you get not so great feedback that triggers a belief about yourself. And so I did a lot of back and forth. Like I'd write it, then I'd take it down. And to be completely honest, I still struggle with that at times. With, do people really want to hear what I have to say? Um,
Yeah.
and
Geez, I
but
still
I feel
struggle
like
with
I've been
that.
continually like kind of
Yeah.
facing that. Like, okay, I've just continually like faced the dialogue that people aren't asking for my thoughts, so why do you feel like you need to share them? And um but and I've noticed a shift in the people that I've been surrounded with, like I'm not surrounded with the people that I used to be, and there's a new group of people that, so I noticed that what I have to share, like it's not going to um it's not going to mean much to some people, but it's going to mean something to certain people. And so those people, the people that are like cheering me on, I guess that's kind of my fuel.
So you only really need a few to cheer you on for you to be able to take on the world in that sense. You really
Yeah.
do. I felt as long as you have a few in your corner. And again, not that you don't want to go to either extreme here. I know that there's a part of us that is wired for connection, and in that connection, love and affirmation. And we need that. And then there's another part of us that can become easily codependent on what other people think about us, and craves that, I have to have this or I can't go forward. And I think there's that balance of when your root chakra and your sacral and solar plex are all in alignment, and you are embracing you, you are going to be your biggest cheerleader. You'll be able to receive other
Yeah.
people's validation, but what matters the most is your own. And
Right.
there ain't anybody that can validate you more than you. And that's something
Yeah.
that I
I
think
do
we're
care a lot
coming to.
less. Yeah.
Yes,
I do care a lot
exactly.
less about things that mattered to me before.
Hmm.
Um, and I think just continually putting yourself out there in the midst of the feeling of, well, is this worthwhile? Or, like, just continuing on, even in that, I think is part of that awakening too. It kind of breaks even more of that stuff
Yes.
of, caring too much, of letting that kind of steal from your expression.
Yes. No, this is really, really good because we've heard tons of teachings on just the general thing of the chakras, but what I wanted to see happen today, which is happening, is us sharing how that looks, just living life and the internal dialogue of living life, because we need some practical, simple ways for people to see where they're at on the journey of really loving and embracing themselves at these levels, at these energy
Yeah.
center levels, which is really the foundation of all these other levels of who we are, and so, like we were talking just a minute ago, the law of rhythm moves well with the root chakra. Okay, the law of rhythm. So this is about cycles. Cycles in your life are creating the contrast for you to make a decision on a regular basis of if you're going to choose to embrace yourself or embrace
Yeah.
the programming, right?
Mhm.
And it's like constantly is coming around and around for us to choose. And a lot of times
Yeah.
it also looks like a battle. It looks like what we would deem as that polarity or that duality, where I really want this, but this is standing in my way. A lot
Mhm.
of our catch 22s and the carrot that's out of reach is a setup to actually begin to restore the root chakra, to clear it, to come into a place of alignment with ourselves and self-embrace through a lot of the the supposed calamity and resistances, in our life. Well, we would go to the sacral chakra, it actually connects with the law of polarity. So you have the law of rhythm that's trying to help your root chakra to align, and you have the law of polarity that's helping your sacral
Mm.
chakra come into alignment. Now, of course, if you're in a place of flight or fight mode at a root level, well, guess what you're going to be at a sacral level. You're either going to be completely sexually dead, to where if you're in a marriage, you just don't even care. There's no intimacy. It's like whatever. Everything is a chore. Everything is, I just got to get this done. I'm on automatic pilot. There's no creativity. Pleasure in your life is just whatever's familiar, even if it's not pleasurable anymore. You know, our emotional state is up. Don't get too excited here. And it's almost like this fear of having too much fun, because it's all going to be taken from you, because the root chakra doesn't feel stable. It doesn't feel grounded. It feels ripped off. It feels deprived. It feels like it's been left out. And really belonging is a big part of that whole root and sacral chakra. I think
Yeah.
both of them is really about belonging, you know. But where you're no longer living in survival mode, you have survived. This is a big
Yeah.
one too, is a lot of times we have, and I've taught on the shift, what I do for, emotional belief systems as a life coach, that we have different types of lies we've believed, experiential lies, that we've believed. And one of them is where it was something that was once true, but it's no longer true, but our mind is still trapped there as though we're still living in it, even though we've escaped. and maybe it was a childhood situation where you were there constantly being berated or controlled, or you're a letdown, and you could hear their sigh. And anyway, that's in your mind. And even though intellectually, yeah, you grew up, you got out of that situation, that person isn't there, reflecting those expressions to you that made you feel less than, but your mind still experiences that as though it's an ongoing thing through life situations. And it's really because we're stuck in this place in our mind. It's actually trapped energy in our nervous system that's being personified. And what I tell people that will help them not just get into the emotional belief, focus in, feel it, and dispel that, but there's another way in which we can let go of the seriousness of our emotions. We so have taken seriously what we feel that we actually think we are what we feel. And that's why we keep entangling our identity in what we feel. And so it's to really see that it's all energy. All it is everything is an energy signature that is dancing together, okay, at different octaves and intervals and within different colors. And if you could see a field just full of colors dancing together, you would actually see what you're really experiencing from a higher density, that we have so personified and taken serious to. That is my identity, and I have to prove this, and I have to, do it this way. That if we could let go of that seriousness and play with the sound of what we're feeling in a dance, a field of dance, vibration, we will realize that a lot of the things that we think we're unstable in, we're dancing with at another level. Okay. We're actually twirling and dancing and creating. And so there's this whole creative world of who we are hidden in the depth of our essence underneath all this programming and belief systems that we've kind of piled on top. Surprise, I'm really this, and so it's like when we kind of begin to ground and we realize, wait a second here, I'm this beautiful essence of pure orgasmic love, and I am the explosion of creation, and that this is the world that I have created for myself. The world that first was flight or fight mode. I'm insecure. It's the familiar. There's no satisfaction. But now all of a sudden, wait a second, there's another me under there that's emerging that said, hey, I created all of this for you to experience, but let me show you who you really are. Now you're done with this aspect, and it's time to rise up. It's time to come into that higher perspective. And you're no longer in survival mode. You have survived. You've broken free from the loops, and you look back and you go, I don't need to survive anymore. Now I can rest. And it seems that when we enter that place of belonging, resting, that not only do we ground, but we begin to release this creativity. There just comes this urgency that says, you know what, I can't be this way anymore. I can't believe this shit I was believing about myself, and I'm coming into this place where I'm really excited about my life. But then there's this other little voice, and it might be coming from the solar plexus yet that still hasn't entered the dialogue of what happened in the root. It doesn't always happen at once, but here comes that little, where's my self-worth at in this? And don't get too powerful now, even though I am empowerment at a solar plex level, there's this whole sense of needing to be in control. Now we start to judge our self-confidence. Is this really self-confidence? Am I out of control? Have I gone too far? Am I too free? And sometimes that's a safeguard for healthy boundaries. If your solar plexus is in unison now with this whole new version of you at a root and a sacral level, but sometimes it will speak out of alignment because it's still trying to hold on to the old recordings. Okay. And so you're going to have this battle inside that says, oh, I got to question myself, because questioning myself is wisdom. And questioning yourself isn't wisdom. Questioning yourself is the reverberation of a flight or fight mode from your root chakra that's still resting as energy in your solar plex and now needs to be dislodged. And how do we dislodge it? Well, we dislodge it by allowing a neutral perspective through acceptance to look at different angles of how of that thought process, and to consider a completely different angle of how you view yourself, rather than, oh, I got to get rid of this. See, we've got to let go of the concept that energy is negative, or that what we perceive as negative energy is bad. Do we have positive and negative? Yes, we have polarity, but we also are dealing with excitement that's been deemed anxiety, labeled as something completely different, than it really is. Now I've noticed, and this has been something that's been my own experience, and I believe you're experiencing also a similar thing, is a redefining of what love is, a redefining of what passion is, where what we would normally deem, oh, you're only allowed to love people to a degree, because, we've got this love and we've got that love, and we've got to kind of compartmentalize all the different kinds of love that is out there. And I think there's a balance to even that, but we've so compartmentalized our love because of a fear of doing it wrong, a fear of screwing up, a fear of not being enough. And I think our compartmentalization becomes unraveled when these chakras begin to open, and we begin to, in a sense, feel like we start falling in love with everybody. And again, our mind immediately goes to what it's been defined as, which is usually sexual, and then we start to feel that fake shame that wants to come in and say, oh no, this is bad. It brings me to the scripture, he that lusts after someone in their heart has already committed adultery, right? And I used to be so condemned by that scripture. Not that I was out there lusting after women, but that I would find connection and attraction that was being defined as sexual only because of the shame that had been kind of programmed into us, but that really had nothing to do with sexuality or biology, but had to do with the essence of being love and kind of breaking out of a certain mold. Have you experienced that as well?
Well, I think there is an excitement that comes with when as we are learning to love and embrace ourselves more, and then we can recognize that in the essence of other people, and there's like this, I don't know, an appreciation um, for others in ways that maybe we didn't recognize before because we're so clouded by our own, self-loathing or whatever it is. But it kind of opens up that aspect. Maybe that's the heart chakra. I'm not sure, but where we're just able to like get that thrill of being around other people's essence and their beingness. We can recognize it. We recognize it at a different level, you know. So that's my thoughts.
Wow. So as you're saying this, which I totally agree, it's almost like this is where we're seeing this jump and this hunger for community is really coming, because the root and sacral chakras are starting to kind of come into alignment. People are embracing their true selves. They're embracing their weirdness. They're venturing into new experiences to see that there's not a God of wrath going to be there to strike them down if they actually do something outside of the box of religion or programming. I think that's a beautiful thing. I really am excited about what we're talking about here, because this brings us to, The next one here that I wanted to share on the 12 laws, and that is the law of relativity, which deals with our solar plexus. So we had the law of rhythm at our root, the law of polarity at our sacral, and the law of relativity in our solar plex. And the law of relativity says everything is relative and must be understood in comparison to something else. Challenges and situations are opportunities for growth and perspective. And this is where our solar plex is always looking to discern, when it's out of alignment, it's suspicious of everything. It's got labels, it's got judgments, it's got compartmentalizations. But when it's truly empowered, it enters into this neutral place of just feeling like, I'm self-confident because I know I'm in control without needing to control anything anymore. It's almost like that neutral acceptance of self that is emanated from the root and the sacral has kind of brought in the law of relativity that now basically says, everything that's happening around me, I can now utilize rather than fight against to try to change or hide from out of punishment. I can now I can utilize this. I'm confident because I don't need to be in control now. I am safe. I am worthy. I am lovable, and what that does for us is it just brings us into this whole new place of really, when those three lower chakras line up, your roots and your sacral and your solar plex, there's an internal dialogue that now causes you to embrace your humanity. It's almost like that is your shadow work. Yeah. And when that shadow work has been done, there is a heart-brain connection that happens that allows your throat to become your new internal dialogue from this new place of kind of looking back at, wow, look at who I really am. Look at what I journeyed through. Look at how amazing I am to have walked through that. Look at how indestructible I am, that I couldn't be quenched. I couldn't be destroyed. I thought I was being destroyed, but I really wasn't. I was being made. I was being unveiled. And it just kind of brings this whole new resolve through us to just really be who we truly are, and I think that's where it really brings us into that heart connection, is because falling in love is exactly what we need to do with everyone. And I don't mean necessarily falling in love to where it is a biological sexual release with everyone, as much as it is our sexuality has been reduced to a biological release, when it really is the power to create worlds. And this is where we're going with this today, is the power of creation. Is that, in order for us to change our world, to go from this 3D dualistic, politically battled, religiously fueled program of, whoever's the strong one wins and whoever's the weak one dies, to leave that system of reward and punishment to a place of oneness and equality and love. We have to embrace our vulnerability, and we have to become vulnerable enough with one another that our authenticity takes over. And vulnerability always breeds authenticity, and authenticity is the creative power that actually shifts worlds. So this is where, we'll hear, stuff like, well, did you know that love is the highest frequency, but that authenticity vibrates 4,000 times higher than love? Well, authenticity is love in action. It's love in unison. It's love in expression. And so when we are no longer living in shame, no longer doubting our true intentions, no longer wondering what other people think, and we're enough for ourselves. When we know that, that's when our community connection creates a realm that actually causes us to truly lay down our lives for one another out of desire, out of pursuit, out of celebration, rather than out of sacrifice to subliminally get my own shit together. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of the religious side of things, you need to lay your life down. You need to serve other people. That's out of a slavery, reward, punishment system of not being enough, rather than, wow, I really just want to come and serve you and love you and celebrate you and embrace you because I just met myself in you. I just met who I am, you know. And what do you think? I mean, I don't know what if you have anything to share on that side of things, but
No, I
you
think
know,
that's beautiful. I mean, just that, like listening to you talk, it felt like a like a breath of fresh air, you know, like all the heaviness that we hold in our bodies and how that release of being able to just, you know, release the inhibitions within ourselves, and so that we can actually see each other and embrace each other and see
yeah,
the mystery and the beauty within each other. It's like uh, a whole nother adventure, um, to explore, is just being able to embrace one another instead of
yes,
trying to like cater to your own crap.
yes. No, it's refreshing, very grounding. I know for me, it's one thing for me to wake up to who I am, but there's a part of me that's going to question that until I meet somebody else who's woken up to who they are.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden I stop questioning myself because I'm not alone. Even though we
Yeah,
know we're not alone, there are aspects, these all these different fractal versions of you, right? Everybody is you, right? And so we have
hmm,
all these different fractal versions of ourselves, that it just makes all the difference when our journey of deconstruction and reconstruction, or our awakening, our kundalini, that we connect with others and we go, wow, you were on that path with me. We were doing this together, even though we were
yeah,
not together in it. We were experiencing the same thing, and now it allows us to have that relatability so that
yeah,
we can now begin to mirror that authenticity beyond one fractal angle. um, I
yeah. It
know,
really kind of,
yeah,
sorry, I was just
no,
gonna
no,
say
go ahead,
how
please.
a lot of the energy within, I believe the root chakra, it kind of leaves if you're in so much fear and fight or flight, you feel so alone in it,
Yeah,
and how this really just seems to be this energy of where you're not, realize you really are not alone.
that's right. Oh, it's wonderful. I think this is beautiful. I did a post yesterday. This, for some people, they might, not like my language, but I did a post, and it was called my tenets of the faith. My tenets of the faith, and there were three tenets, and it was be yourself, be everyone else, and the third one is what I call the fuck 'em rule. Okay. and and it's all one word, so it's my own language here. Now, some people would say the fuck 'em rule is that, oh well, fuck them, I don't want to, but no, that's not what it's really talking about. It's actually letting go of the need to be offended. But the thing I wanted to share here is to be yourself rule really comes in that when and now here's something, if you're trying to clear your root chakra, for those watching this, or you're dealing with these lower three chakras, here's something that will help you. Number one, be yourself. Being yourself will draw those who truly want relationship. It will also offend and cause strife with those who just want to use you to cover up their own issues. Realize that if you choose to just be your true self and be your true authentic self, you're going to expose the agenda of everybody in your life, okay, which is exposing your own agenda on the second tenet here, okay. Okay, because being everyone else, um, is also dealing with the fact that you are the one experiencing yourself as everyone. But I want to say that we've taken that too far. Okay. Um, we can't take everyone as an identical version of the true version of you, because we're also living in programs and we're reacting out of programs. So we are gleaning from the reflection of everyone being a perceived version of you, a programmed version of you, and a true version of you. So there are three lenses we're actually viewing ourself as everyone as. So it's not just, oh, that guy over there is a jerk. Oh, what part of me is being a jerk? And we start to, again, label and go into that self-condemnation. But we might start out that way because we're still looking through the perceived version of us, not the true version of us. Okay. But being able to decipher this, is where we begin to kind of catch a glimpse from the higher self version of us. Because, there's not two versions of you. Okay. There's the higher self that has taken one fractal part of itself and projected it into the character you are playing. And then there is the program that is upon the character you are playing. Okay, so they're not two versions of you.
Mhm.
There is the program, there is one fractal angle of higher self. All right, so this is really what is going on in this journey of our perceived, reality. And so obviously, if you're triggered when you see somebody and it is you, a reflection of you, then you should take it seriously, because it is trying to mirror something there. Okay. But the fuck 'em rule, number 3, is really the place of detachment. I would liken this unto the law of detachment, which isn't a part of the 12 universal laws from science, but I do believe it should be included, and I'll probably do a video
Do you
tomorrow
think
on
that it
that.
would be compared to like the being neutral? Is that
Yes,
like
yes,
okay?
yes. It is really being neutral. It's you being able to not personify what other people are doing that are contrary to what you believe or what you think they should be doing, to not allowing that to dictate who you are, who you're not, or affect you in any negative way. Okay. So it's really coming out of entanglement with what people think, rather than trying to prove who you are in the midst of what people think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, that's really, uh, what it comes down to. Because when you look at these, like the root chakra, the sacral, and the solar plex, it seems that when they're out of alignment, we're always trying to please somebody rather than be our true authentic self. There's this whole shame of being who we really are that kind of covers those chakras when we're in the program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we are walking on eggshells with other people, and those other people represent an aspect of us, then it's us actually avoiding ourself at a deeper level, when that's happening. So when we're out there in the world and, oh, I can't be myself. I just, I want this person to like me. I want you to look at that as that's you doing it to yourself. That's not you trying to be cordial to people. That's you hiding from an aspect of yourself that you've denied, and you're a stranger to yourself. And when when you can recognize you're a stranger to yourself, and that's what you're doing, it'll actually start to the process of shifting your root chakra, because your root chakra is flowing with the law of rhythm. Okay. And it's flowing with recognizing patterns, you see. And when those patterns are recognized, you begin to get a inspiration and a angle of creativity that begins to cause you to look at the polarity in your life a little bit different, which is the law of polarity. And it's no longer a threat to you. It's now an opportunity to unveil something that could not have been unveiled any other way. And that any other way that it couldn't happen except through this law of polarity frees you and empowers you in your solar plex to now identify with what's going on, that now breaks it off of your identity and allows you to enter into a place of realizing this was never about my worth. This was really about me coming and shifting mankind's belief about themselves.
Yeah.
That everything I'm working at this personal level, just little old me. Maybe you don't have a platform. Maybe you're not out there as a life coach. Maybe you're not thinking you're influencing it. You living your life is shifting the entire collective, because we are an energy signature in that field. We are the same energy. We are all the same energy. We are all of us have always had the same soul intention, which is to come and to be a benefit to one another, to come and to give love and receive love. That is what is the intention of every soul. I don't even Hitler. Okay. Even Hitler, it's funny is, I heard a story of, a little side note here. I heard a story of this lady who had channeled Hitler's higher self.
Oh my goodness.
And the question was, why'd you kill all those people? And the higher self with a chuckle said, well, we wouldn't be where we're at with this awakening today had that not happened the way it did. Everything that has happened in your life that you think is tragedy, that is negative, has led to the awakening you are currently experiencing, has led to those questions coming into your mind to break you free from the programming, and it is a journey of internal dialogue here. And so today I really feel like we have gone over a lot of the internal dialogue of the root, the sacral, and the solar plex to create that brain heart connection, with those that are watching and listening, to say, wow, I can see where the lights are coming on here, in my own journey based on what you've kind of been following along here. Is there anything, if you were to share with people, Jen, before we go today, because I know we've been on here for a bit. We were only going to go an hour, but this was so good. What would you say to people that are in the process right now? They're searching. They've been repressed. Maybe they've had no drive in their life, no inspiration. They've just been doing the mundane, just doing the everyday thing. They just feel uninspired. And all of a sudden they're starting to awaken, but they're scared. They think they're crazy. Maybe everybody in their family isn't awake. Nobody's awake but them. What advice would you give in this beginning stage of, oh shit, I'm waking up, but I don't know what to do with this boldness, with this confidence, with this I'm not putting up with shit anymore mentality, that I'm breaking out, but I'm surrounded with a bunch of people that I used to cater to, or are used to me being this certain way that they've labeled me, and now I can't be that anymore. How would you advise them to go forward?
Well, I guess it just makes me think of the need to just keep doing what you're doing. Keep speaking what your truth, the truth that you're getting. Do not be silent with it. Connect, whether it's online. Like for me, I felt like um, my greatest connection was people that I found online. Because
Yeah.
I couldn't find people around me that shared the same pattern of thought. So that really helped, just engaging in some way. I also feel like just, you know, finding finding an outlet to to explore and get excited about,
Yes.
find whether it's crystals or astrology or whatever your kind of interests you, just kind of pour yourself into something that makes you feel alive and makes you feel like there's, excited about something, and nourish that. Just keep nourishing that part of you.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably my best advice.
See, I think I think that's amazing. And some of the people on here are really responding. I like this one here. Jasmine just said, I crave to hear my own voice. And I think that is such a beautiful statement because when I first heard my own voice, it was like, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. I started to fall in love with myself. And I think when you really start to realize you're freaking awesome, and and you are the bomb, you are, you are the god or the goddess that has created your world. It isn't an arrogant thing. It's a freedom to finally come out from underneath all of the stuff we've been fed. And again, this is not
Yeah.
to even make ourselves victims. I think we designed this matrix. We even designed the experiment to experience those fractal angles of light and vibrational fields of density, and something else I wanted to kind of bring in here, just kind of out of curiosity. I know we should be going, but you know, when you start to look at like densities, right? According to the law of one, they've set up 8 densities, really 7, because the 8th takes you back to the first density or the first octave. But when you look at these densities, the first 3 connected to the first 3 chakras. So again, the root chakra is stability, the sacral is creativity and sexuality, and the solar plexus, personal power and identity. When you look at densities, and of course, densities is what we're experiencing as visibility as a world, is the first density is beingness. It has to do with being, okay? While the second density is growth. This has to do with awareness of self through interaction with the environment, the chemical body, okay, that type of thing, and also autonomous life from organisms, plants to animals. First density is elements: fire, air, water, earth, mineral water, learning from wind and fire, and awareness of being. Okay, and then the third density is self-awareness. So we are here, our subconscious is veiled from the conscious to give a genuine choice of polarity, choice of service to others, or service to self polarity. So really the third dimension is really locked into that solar plex. Okay. And so again, your place of beingness we have to be able to come into a place where we're no longer doing to be something, but we've just let go of doing and just are being. And from that place, really action is coming forth. And we're talking power, creative action. See, we've been trying to do, and we're just stepping in a lot of do. But when we simply can rest and we're secure in that root, we start to be. And in the beingness, we start to manifest. And manifesting is we start to actually create. Your whole world begins to shift. This is one of the reasons why a lot of, when we start to awaken, a lot of our relationships change. A lot of the old relationships can't go with us, okay, because those relationships were doing relationships. It was relationships where we were earning each other's love. But when we start to be, that's a threat to doers. Being is a threat to people that base their life on doing and performing. And so you got to get around people that are of that energy signature. Otherwise, you just begin to cancel out. Energy that does not flow at the same level or vibration, that isn't flowing at a specific octave, cancels each other. It cancels itself out. And this is where we come into that shift, right? All right. And so, but no, beingness is the key here. And I love this because when we are being, we grow. And when we grow and break through the dirt of our own programming, just like a plant breaking through the earth, we enter that self-awareness, that conscious awareness that I am more than I have concluded.
Yeah.
that I am everything experiencing itself, that I am that I am. And that is where, again, it begins to break into the heart, where love begins to manifest. Okay.
Yeah.
And we begin to experience that love, which then, is emanating. And, in closing, I'll just say this, that, each chakra has different symbols within it. And the chakras have triangles within different symbols. Okay. If you want to look at the symbology. And the only triangle that is upright in all of our chakras, I don't know if you knew this, is the heart. All the other ones are inverted. And the inverted triangle represents the soul being pulled down into an incarnation. So it's kind of amazing that even the crown and the throat. Now, these are just your seven chakras, okay? Your seven chakra system, not the 12. But in the seven chakra system, we are experiencing our soul being pulled into an incarnation in our roots, in our sacral, in our solar plex, in our throat, and in our crown. But our heart seems to be the seat of our higher self that is emanating or looking into these other energy centers or other parts of our matrix or star systems, stargates, however you want to put it. So I thought that was interesting, because really we are getting to the heart of the matter with this creative energy that's coming really from the root. All your energy is your root chakra. When it opens, it begins to shoot up through your spine, through the serpent. It's called a Kundalini awakening. It begins to emanate out into your tree of life, which is your nervous system, and the goal is for it to come up through the sacrum, the sacred aspect of you, and begin to release the Christ oil through the brain, which is really going through the third eye and the pituitary, which is known as it releases like a milky white and then a golden honey substance, which is the land of milk and honey, and if we allow that process to sit for, I believe, I want to say 3 days, in that fluid sits. This is at a biological level, even, which is revelatory, because your biology is only biology based on your interpretation of your environment at a subatomic level, where your strings of light being interpreted as biology based on your conclusion of reality. Okay, so we even put blocks of what we would conclude, how far our reality would be at certain levels of this game, until we said, all right, we're done with that. Now let's break that block and let's bring the next level of what what our perceived reality is going to be. And there's just so much into this. Sorry to get so deep, but these are some of the aspects that I think we're really beginning to come into, So, but this has been wonderful, guys. You guys are amazing, and you are amazing, Jen. I'm so thankful for our time together, and I'd like to do another one on this. Maybe we can consider a part 2 on this and hit some of these other chakras as well, if you might be up for it at some point. Oh, did you just leave your things out? Okay, no worries. No worries.
Oh, there.
Oh, I hear you.
Okay, my earbuds went out, and then all of a sudden I couldn't hear anything. So,
well, I can hear you now, so we're good. We're good. I understand those earbuds, but this has been amazing. Again, if you don't know Jen, go to her page. Say hi. Check out her posts. She's got some amazing posts, and we've been friends for quite a few years now, And I'm just excited about what's happening in your life, and how you're carrying a lot right now for the collective. And I really believe that who you are is about to make its entrance into the collective in ways that we need to experience. We need to experience what you carry, and I'm so excited about what's coming for you in the near future as well. So thank you again for being here. Thank you all for watching. Please like and share. And also, if you're interested, we are doing some Christmas specials on some of our products. We've got some discounts of 40% off on a couple of our readings that we do, our Starseed Activation reading, as well as the personalized reading, both live sessions. And our new shift training is 40% off. So go to our store at www.lifeimagine.live, and you can find out more about that. And also reach out to me and set up a session, and we'll get that taken care of. You can also gift people sessions for Christmas. Great gift for Christmas is to give them a session to where they get a reading, or they get some energy alignment in their life. And there isn't anything better than being free in your root, sacral, and solar plex chakras. Anyway, love y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Jen, hang out for a minute and don't go away. See you soon, guys.